If he names a witness who gave him doubt, it could look like he's discrediting a potential victim. Or if he names a defense argument that swayed him, perhaps he thought it might make him look like he's siding with the accused. So perhaps he felt like he was in a pickle. So instead, he does the safest thing possible, and he says, you know, in hopes that you and I will fill in the blanks. All right, let's take a look at the next question. You heard it. Was there a witness who made you think, I don't believe this? What did George say? He said, yeah, there was one that I think, unanimously, we kind of all said like, wow, that was like almost watching TV. And I think her name was Dawn Richard. I even wrote it in my notebook. It says, like a takedown. Okay, let's pause right here and let's talk about it. He says, unanimously, we all said. Wait, what? Jurors aren't supposed to discuss testimony before deliberations, right? Am I right about that? Let me know if I am. And he's an alternate, which means he didn't deliberate. So when exactly did this unanimous agreement happen? Before the deliberations? That would be in direct violation of the judge's instructions, so it's probably not that. He's probably projecting his own opinion onto the group to make it safer to say out loud what he really feels. He didn't want to say, I didn't believe her. So instead he said, we all didn't. And it makes me wonder why he won't speak what he believes. Here's another hot spot for me. He said the defense made her look very not credible. But again, what specific question unraveled her? What contradiction happened? What behavior, inconsistency, or timeline didn't add up for him? He doesn't say. He says the takedown left an impression. Describe what the takedown looked like to you, what it sounded like to you. We want to know. That's part of the interview, is for us, the public, to understand. Let's look at the next question about this enterprise. It's a did question, which requires a simple yes or no answer. But instead, this is what he says. He said, I think they did the best that they could, talking about the prosecution, but I think it was a tough case to prove. That's not an answer. It's a polite dodge. It's saying they did the best they could, is like saying something. You say this to somebody who didn't succeed, but you don't want to sound mean. So what's the meta message here? I think he's trying to say that they didn't convince him, but he doesn't want to say that directly. He goes on to say, look at the charges, kidnapping, arson, forced labor, and the government had one side, the defense had some pretty good rebuttals. This sets us up for some insight. What were these rebuttals? What happened? What did you see? How did you interpret this? But he doesn't give us anything. And what exactly was the government side? What rebuttals did the defense offer that you found were pretty good? What made them good? Did they disprove anything? Or did they just plant doubt? He doesn't say. That would be so beneficial for us to know his take. All right, so here Laura asked another question. Take a listen. She asked, Cassie Ventura testified visibly pregnant for days. How did her testimony impact you? And George said, it did. We listened intently. It was very riveting. It was very credible testimony. Okay, that sounds strong, doesn't it? But then Laura presses. Listen to what she asked. She asked, did you believe her? And this is where everything shifts. Here's his exact response. I think we did. She wouldn't have done all of this just to come up there and lie about everything. So no, I don't think anyone, even the defense, didn't say anything like that. Okay, let's break this down. What? I think we did. That's 3 hedges and 8 words. He just can't for whatever reason, come right out and tell us what he believes. That isn't belief. That's self-doubt wrapped in consensus. Notice he doesn't say, I believed her. He said, we believed her. He doesn't need other people's opinion to back his own. He's using the group to cover up his uncertainty. So here's another hot spot. He said, even the defense didn't say she was lying. Again, what's he doing? He's outsourcing his opinion. He doesn't need to. He needs to own what he believes, because that's what we want to hear in this interview. He says, well, even the other side didn't call her a liar, so that must mean something. Okay, maybe he didn't really say that, but he was getting to that. Okay, So who cares if somebody didn't call her a liar? We want to know what you think. We want to know how the evidence, the testimony impacted you. What do you believe? How did this change your thinking or solidify your thinking? What did it do? The reason this is so important, the reason I keep talking about it, is knowing what he believed would help us as a society to figure out what's going right, what's going wrong within our judicial system. Help us understand how an everyday person continues to think about people who are victimized. Not for blaming. This isn't about blame. It's about understanding. Let's move on. All right. So Laura then asked him about Jane's testimony. Take a listen. This is what George says. It's very riveting. Again, it was a long testimony, and I think I did believe her, at least on some parts, but some parts didn't add up. Some parts seemed a little strange. Great, finally, we're getting an opinion. This is what he believed. But help us understand it better. What was it about that you didn't believe? What didn't add up? What parts? He doesn't say. It would just be so helpful if he would shed light. Because it's important to know. Again, not for people to agree or disagree, but just to understand. But he does go on to say, going from one closet to another, it just didn't add up. Okay, what didn't add up? Help us. Help us understand your point of view. Help us understand your opinion. Help us understand your perspective. That's all it is. To me, this is what it's about, to have an alternate juror like George, or a juror who actually deliberated. But we didn't get that in his answers. So I'm going to give you a little recap. He hedges, I think, some parts, maybe. He distanced. We all said, in people's minds, so groupthink, and he avoids specifics. Something didn't add up, but he's not telling us what. He's not being specific. And he never said, I believed her. He did say, I believed some parts, so that's great. So here's the dilly. If he didn't say he believed her, what does that lead us to believe? That he didn't. But it shouldn't be a guessing game. In my opinion, you should just come out right and say, look, have parameters of what he wants to talk about. This is what I'm going to talk about. This is what I'm not going to talk about in this interview. This is what I feel comfortable saying. This is what I don't feel comfortable talking about. Like, put parameters on it. That's fine. But let us know how you're really feeling, because these non-answers say more than anything. And those 350 pages of notes that he kept talking about but didn't reveal. Obviously, if you're going to take 350 pages of notes, you're listening to something. I don't think it's a written narration, and I could be wrong. Something stood out. Something got your attention. Something made you think. You wrote those notes for a reason. It just would have really been helpful to let us in, at least on some of it, and just come across certain in his answers, because we're left right back at the starting line. We still don't know what he believes, what he thinks, what the prosecution did well and didn't do well, what the defense did well and didn't do well. Vagaries don't help. Specificity informs. So there you have it. I'm going to leave it at that. Share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe you see the situation differently. Maybe you see, hey, it's just an alternate juror. You can give some insight, but not the whole story. Okay, and that's fine. I just feel, like I said earlier, tell us what you really think. Tell us what you really feel. Inform us. I think it'll just help us all. So like, follow, subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.